All right. I'm excited. This is Dave Pounder. I'm joined by my good friend, Andy Jabbour. This is not a security podcast. This is a Dave and Andy Jabbour podcast. We want to welcome you all to whoever's listening. It's probably going to be about one or two of you in the beginning, but we hope to grow by the thousands, Andy.
Thousands.
It's going to be amazing. Andy and I have been talking about doing a pod, non-work related pod for some time now, and we're finally taking the big jump. We're hoping you jump with us. We're excited about what we're going to do here. Andy, how are you on this early morning?
It is, Dave, because we're so committed to this idea, to giving America what it needs. I mean, we're here in the early hours of the day, giving our thoughtful perspective on life, the universe, on all things that matter. And I'm excited to do this with you.
Yeah, I'm excited too because we have a lot of ideas and we think we're all pretty smart. I think we're probably smarter than our own good, Andy. But we're here. We want to take you through kind of like what we've been going through with the topics that we talk through, and the good witty banter that Andy and I have, and that you all have so much enjoyed on our other podcasts. But Andy, this is I guess, let's give the people a little bit about background about who you and I are. Let's start off with that. I'm Dave Pounder. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. I've been, you know me from the Gate 15 podcast. I've been in security for a long time, but Andy and I both met each other. Actually, we've known each other longer than we've been married to our wives. And I mean, that's over 25 years, Andy. Back in the days of ROTC, when they had the ROTC trailers at George Mason University, we were the building blocks for that great program. But we've come a long way in 25 years, Andy. So
a long way. It's been almost 30 when you think about it. When you do the math, it's almost 30 years, which is pretty remarkable. So yeah, so I'm really excited to do this. I mean, we Dave and I, have a few other things we do together, including a professional podcast. We're excited to do this, and I think being your junior, Dave, I appreciate the chance to follow your elderly lead and prompt, and I'm just honored to be here with you and to learn from you as always, as I always have been.
is that because I have gray hair and you have no hair, Andy? Is that what it is?
Mine's gray. I just shave it off. So it's
there you go. And I will note that you had been trying to grow the beard out a little bit, or you were just lazy, and now you're clean shaven today.
Yeah, lazy.
Yeah. So for this podcast, we're going to try a lot of different things, everyone. We're going to try to keep it short, maybe about in that 30-minute range, and give you everyone a good listen as they maybe drive into work or doing things around the house, or however you choose to listen to your podcast. We're going to try a couple different segments. Bear with us as we go through these early ones to see what works and what may not work. But Andy, one of the first ones I want to do, let's talk about I'm choosing this one first. I'm going out of order from what we talked about earlier, because you have as a backdrop, you have the Detroit Lions, looks like pouncing on a fumble, probably after one of their sacks of the Atlanta Falcons, and the score 20-6, Detroit. Let's do it. We're going to call this the sports check-in. So
right. I like it.
So how are you feeling? What's your sports team like? How are you feeling here?
I'm feeling good, Dave. As you know, I've been a Detroit Lions fan for a long time, and that's not something you could say without people laughing, for many, many years. But it's an
laughing hard
time to be a Lions fan. So it's we had a good weekend, right? Hot start beating the Kansas City Chiefs. Good, I think, respectable loss, against Seattle, but then really came on strong this last week. And the picture behind me is the 7th sack of the game after he only recorded 1 sack in the first 2 games, and it was just a dominant victory over the Atlanta Falcons. So I feel good. I feel really good going into a Thursday night game with the Packers. So excited for that. And I think the Lions are in the best place they've been since I've been a fan, to be honest. The last time the Lions won a playoff game was 1991. I was a freshman in high school, Dave. So this it's going to change this year. The Lions win the NFC North. The Lions win a home playoff game, and who knows what happens after that.
Well, I mean, I will say the one thing that's really changed about the Lions is they actually have a really good defense. Yeah. I mean, I think their front line is really good. I mean, Hutchinson's a beast, and the picture you have as a backdrop is Hutchinson. I think that's, I know, maybe it is. I don't know.
It is. That's big Aiden Hutch right behind me.
Yeah. So I mean, getting in there. I mean, he's he's been a dominant force, really great draft pick, and then they have a good defensive backfield. And look, Jared Goff, for as much as garbage as he's taken over the years, I mean, I'd almost rather take him than my quarterback, Andy. So
He's playing good football. He's. I mean, right now he's playing as a top 10 quarterback. He's poised under pressure. He took some tough hits on Sunday, knowing he was going to take some tough hits, but delivered bullets to his team. I mean, he's really stepped up as a leader. It's been a good trade, good win. Everybody in Detroit loved Matt Stafford. Still respect and appreciate him. Glad he got a Super Bowl win. But Jared Goff is playing some great football for the Lions, and he's being the leader they need him to be. So, hey, those listeners are going to hear a lot about the Detroit Lions, to be honest with you, on this podcast, and one of my favorite topics to discuss. So I'm excited to start off with that. So thanks for that opportunity. Now let's talk about your team, because that's even more fun to talk about.
I was going to try to talk about your team a little bit more, so I wouldn't have to talk about my team. Look, I had a great sports weekend heading into Sunday. The Penn State is my college football team. My whole family's from Pennsylvania. I grew up watching Penn State football with my grandfather, and up to his last days. Always great memories there, and we've got a great team this year. And I say we because I'm a proud supporter, so they are my team. But we had a great dominating win over Iowa. Iowa's usually a team that gives us a lot of trouble, even though they're not always that great. They always try to give us trouble. We dominated them, and in every facet of the game. I think they had only 70 some odd yards total offense. So I felt really good Saturday and Sunday. The Baltimore Orioles, my baseball team, they keep moving forward on their postseason march. They've already clinched the playoff position. Andy, I felt so confident about the Orioles. I bought playoff tickets for the first game of the American League Division Series. So my wife and I are going to come up, watch the game. We're going to celebrate our 25th anniversary early by going to the game and spending time around Baltimore. So that'll be great. I had a great time then, and I'm sitting down on Sunday afternoon ready to watch the Cowboys go 3-0 against the lowly Arizona Cardinals. Even though they played a little spunky, what's not to love about the Cowboys? They've got a great defense. They've been just dominating the New York teams, and their offense was, I wouldn't say it was playing great, but it was playing efficient. And I think what I just come away with, I like Dak Prescott. I think he's a good quarterback. He's a good quarterback, not a great quarterback. And he's always good when he's playing from ahead, just like everybody is. But when he's playing from behind, they get behind. We have no chance, Andy. We just don't have a chance. It's so frustrating. I'm so dejected. And you talked about 1991 as your last playoff victory. 1995 was our last Super Bowl. 1995 was our last chance. The last time the Cowboys made it to even the NFC Championship game. We're a mess, and I'm sorry. It's more the same for the Cowboys. So there you go. I'm dejected.
I think what's so fun about these first few weeks of the season is you really don't know what you're watching until about a month in, right? You can't tell if somebody's really good or not. So, I mean, Dallas looked dominant those first 2 weeks, as did the 49ers. But you also have to figure out, like, who are they playing, and are those teams any good or not? And, right now, the Giants and the Jets, big question marks on how good those teams are, right? We're really not sure. So is Dallas really good instead of bad game, or did they dominate two teams that maybe aren't very good? The next couple of weeks will really start to show that. Whereas then you've got the Niners looking really strong, and then you've got this week's blowout victory with the Miami Dolphins, something I've never seen in my life in a pro football game. So it was an exciting week of football, Dave. I'm looking forward to this football season. I always do, but there's a lot of fun stuff going on, and I'm hoping the Cowboys crumble because I'm not a fan of your coach, and I hope they fall apart in a terrible season. And but at the same time, I don't want him to get fired because I like him being there to drag you guys down. So, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, just like this. Do you mean Daniel Jones and Zach Wilson aren't good quarterbacks, Andy? I mean, I have a hard time believing that the Cowboys dominated two probably bottom tier. Zach Wilson might be the worst quarterback in the NFL. Yeah. Daniel Jones, but hey, do you believe like they're paying him $40 million a year? Like, what kind of position are you in to say, hey, I know I'm like the bottom third level, but I'm making $40 million. I feel pretty good about what I've just. I mean that this I don't know. It just seems crazy to me. I
Yeah,
mean,
I saw them live last year, and you know, he had some decent run plays, off the left side, which was really the only offensive play the Giants had the entire game was Danny Dimes off the left side on a run. Not a $40 million quarterback. I think New York put themselves in a tough situation. They've got an injury prone running back, not maybe the best starting quarterback. We'll see how that team goes the next couple of years. I don't know if they're in the best place for success.
Yeah, when you have to manage your $40 million a year quarterback so he doesn't make mistakes or put him only in these, I think that's a weird position. I just it feels weird that that's where we are in sports where that level of contract is being. Now look, I'm here. I am sounding like get off my lawn guy. I've got my gray hair. I've got the all the other stuff, but $40 million seems a lot to be paying a pretty mediocre level player, but that's where the money is. I mean, that's where the TV rights deals are at, and all the stuff is. It's a little crazy. So
So, David, are we going to be talking a lot of football? You think on this pod? Is that our future?
I don't know, Andy. We have some good takes. So let's we'll kind of see where it goes. I mean, are you happy to talk about that? Do you think the people want to hear that, or I don't know. We'll want to give what the people want to hear. So
I can
so
talk football. I can talk music. I mean, just let me know. I'm happy to talk about my favorite topics here. So always happy to follow your lead on these things.
You know what I've not been really good about, Andy, is like keeping up with the music. Back in back in our heydays, Andy, we had DC 101 and 99.1 WHFS back in the DC metro area. You had that great. I love that music, and I transitioned. I dabbled in country music for a couple years. I enjoyed that. I have not been keeping up with. I've kind of I have my playlists that are mostly based around those eras, and other than the Taylor Swift stuff, because I have two daughters, other than the Taylor Swift stuff, I've been pretty much out of the music scene. I probably couldn't communicate too well on that, but I'm happy to take your lead on that, Andy. What do you listen to?
Dave, I one let's not blame Taylor Swift on your daughters. That's mean to your daughters, right? I mean, you can admit what you like. I like girly pop music. I've always got some girly pop music on my current playlist. I do like to stay current with music. I went to an exchange with a guy who's a little bit younger than me, who made the argument that new music is a young man's game. I really like keeping up with new music, and now given there's certain genres and things that I'm more open to because the sound resonates with me more. But I think new music is fun. Hearing where sound goes, where artists are going. So I also know, a wide variety of things. And back from our days, like you were talking about, DC 101, HFS, and today there's a good mix of, I think, girly pop music, and still listen to some of my favorite old metal and rock and roll bands. And there's a lot of fun new stuff out these days. Like I mean, this last Friday, there's a lot of good new music, to enjoy from like AWOL Nation. I think a newer band that puts out some really crazy sounding music that's fun to listen to. I think it's really fun. I think it helps sort of you always hope to stay young in different ways. And I think new music's one way to enjoy that and try and do that. But you talk about, I think, one of the most significant emotional events for kids growing up in the DC area back in the 90s as Gen Xers as we are. January 12th, 2005, Dave, a day that will live in infamy when unexpectedly, I think unannounced, if I recall, WHFS switched over from DC's prime alternative music channel and really the biggest sort of competitor to DC 101 that there was when I was growing up. And then all of a sudden it was not just a Latin music format, but tropical Latin music format changeover. And you turned the dial on to 99.1, and I think people had no idea what in the world just happened. It was a crazy change. It was I had to look up that date, to be honest. I don't remember the date offhand, but I remember that day of just hearing it and being like, where is HFS? No idea what happened. That was pre-internet, right? So we didn't have the ability to just look up on our phones real quick and be like, hey, what's going on in HFS, right? And have a million hits of what's going on, and other people asking on Reddit and whatever else. So it was a big change in the DC area.
Yeah, I'll tell you, like, because I had moved away by then and off embarking on my army career, but we would, my family still was in that area, so we'd come back, and it'd be like, okay, let's listen to some music while we're here. Turn it on to HFS, and you get only get the Latin music channel, and just a shock. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Do I not have the right? Did I not remember it wrong? Is it 99.3, 99.5, or whatever it was? And it's just so crazy to hear that, because you're right. I mean, that was between them. They had the HF Festival every year.
Yeah.
The what was it? The Nutcracker one as well, for their Christmas one. Such a great station, and then just to have it abruptly change like that was quite a shock. Yeah, that always good stuff there, Andy, because that's, well, I may have to take your lead here. Maybe you can educate me on what are some of the things I should be listening to. I mean, we both have a love for, like, U2. That's one of our favorite
Yeah.
groups, and
Yeah.
they're embarking on their new Vegas thing, Andy. I think it's this week or next week, going off on that. But that'd be a lot of fun. But so maybe we'll have Andy's music corner. What are you listening to, Andy?
Dave,
You, you,
I'll have to share my my current tunes playlist with you and all those who are listening that want to enjoy, Andy's favorite current songs, and you can enjoy those as well. And again, you don't judge me by the amount of girly pop music. That's we all have our issues.
so yeah, I have Taylor Swift. You have Miley Cyrus, right? If I remember correctly, is that what it is?
My Cyrus on there, Kylie is on there. There's various Dua Lipa is on there. There's various artists that come on there and sort of get stuck in the rotation. So yes, it is what it is, Dave. It is what it is.
Yeah, but that's always good. So okay, we'll have that, and then we can plug around with that. You know what I was listening to the other day is Stone Temple Pilots.
Oh yeah,
The original, their first album, which I contend, Andy, is probably one of the like, if you want to go work out, I don't know, like for workout music,
yeah.
to have that music just blaring, it just kind of gets you really excited. Like Wicked Garden is one of my favorites. You just throw that on, and you just, it just feels so good. It's a shame what happened to that band, because
Yeah.
like many, well, I mean, I'm sure you can say this about many music groups, like many bands, done way too soon. I mean, their first two albums were really strong, and then, obviously getting into substance abuse issues with Scott Weiland and stuff. I think that was unfortunate. But I love that band. Much as I think you love Creed, right? Is that one of your favorites?
No, I think that was one of our good friends actually, who I think was a big Creed fan. But I think you think Stone Pilots, when they came out, tell me if this was your situation too. My friends and I were having a debate when we first heard them on whether that was Pearl Jam or somebody else. And like we had like arguments about, no, that's totally Pearl Jam. No, that's a different band. And like we went back and forth until we like were able to settle, oh no, that's some new band named Stone Temple Pilots. But initially we thought that was the same group.
Yeah. I'll tell you, that was a pinnacle of great music. Those early '90s and stuff. What always frustrates me is, I'll go into iTunes and stuff, and I'll be like, hey, I want to listen to some of that early '90s type music. Get that early Pearl Jam, get Soundgarden, get Alice in Chains, and get a lot of those groups in there, and they'll pull in like '90s essentials or something. It's like all this pop music. I'm like, and that's like the worst type of pop music. I think '90s pop there, but like the hardcore grunge, the hardcore rock at that time was, I thought, some of the best we've had. So
If you need that too, I've got a 19-hour playlist of Gen X music that's basically '90s grunge and change. And there's some hip hop R&B, there's some not quite pop, but I would say lighter music. But it's a whole day's worth of listening for you, available to you. Happy to share that link as well. Here to help you, here to support your musical needs.
You said 19 hours?
It is. It's 19 hours of good music. Yeah.
I'm going to question a little of like
what's on that list.
How long you took to build it, and yes, what's on that list? I mean, 19. I mean, that's got to be. I don't know, what is that? I mean, good gravy. That's.
I'm going to confirm what I just said right now as we speak, Dave, because I don't want to leave you. And it is. I take that back, Dave. It is currently 25 hours and 1 minute of music. So
how many songs is that? Does it list how many songs?
It does. It does. Let me scroll down.
I mean, because I can't do
Spotify for your gifts here. It is 353 songs.
Holy
I
hell!
went back a little while ago, maybe a couple of years ago, and added some artists I initially left off because it was initially like a grunge heavy list, but then I went and added some U2 back on, added some more Guns N' Roses on, things of that nature. So it did grow over time, which was why I initially said 17 hours or 19 hours. But I think you'll like it. So I'll share two lists with you, Dave. You and anyone listening can enjoy both my Gen X 90s playlist and my current tunes playlist. And again, I'm here for you. I'm here for the people.
Yeah, and that's what we're all here for to do, Andy. So, okay, so we will do like a weekly check-in. We'll do the sports check-in. We'll do a music. Maybe we'll do some sort of music counter and see how far that goes. Andy, a couple other things that we want to probably look at is like what's at top of mind. Like what are you thinking of? Like what are you stewing on this week? What are you stewing on today? What is something that come across? We'll play around with that segment a little bit. We'll also, want to say like, what's your take on this? We'll pick a topic and we'll say, hey, I've seen this in the news. It's being talked about. What's your take on this? And we'll banter a little bit about that. Andy, I do want to say, look, as much as we're going to talk about a lot of fun things, there are chances we'll probably get into, a little bit of our, personal beliefs and views on probably some crazy topics. We want to make sure everyone knows, look, this is a disclaimer. This is our personal views. We firmly believe that these views are our own, and like everything else, we rely on healthy debate and open conversation. So if that offend you, we're not trying to do any of that. We certainly hope that dialogue can at least open some of your mindset about the topics that we're going to bring on, and we're certainly not going to be in a position where we're insulting anybody or disparaging anybody's beliefs or views. I think we want to talk about some of these issues because I think they're important. Obviously, they're important in a lot of different ways. And so, Andy, what are your thoughts? We may need like a disclaimer warning when we get into like that type of conversation. Maybe we need to put on that disclaimer and just make sure everybody knows we're having just good, healthy discussion, but not trying to offend or get anybody mad at us, Andy.
Yeah. One, I'd like to reserve the right to make disparaging comments about your own beliefs, just because I think,
of course,
regardless of what they are, I just want to have that right. But realistically, I think we're at a sensitive time in our country where people are have a hard time expressing their beliefs, whether it's political beliefs or ideological beliefs, religious beliefs. People are at times uncomfortable. I think I think it's great when we can exchange ideas and respectfully explore ideas and disagree, and that's how you learn and grow, right? So I think I think it's good to touch those things and share those things, like I said, respectfully, thoughtfully, not to force anybody into anything. You never convince anybody anything by arguing with them, right? But I think I think it's good to share perspective, because I think the reality is most folks, I think, are open to just exploring ideas so we can all try and be better in different ways. So I'm sure those topics will come up. And I think from my end, I was thinking about this a little bit, and I think a lot of times, I read a lot of news. Dave, in my day job, I consume information all day long. News comes as part of that. But I think a lot of times those political issues are interesting segues into other ideas and sort of questions that might not be political. And so I've got one I was thinking about sharing later this week when we get back together for the next issue of our podcast here. So I'm excited to start talking about some of those things. I think it's important. I think as folks listen, I think it's fun to discuss those ideas, explore them, and feedback is always welcome. And if somebody wants to find you personally and throw a pie in your face, that's they're allowed to do that too.
Yeah. I prefer apple. We put a little whipped cream on it, but I definitely enjoy that. And I think you said that very well, Andy. I think that's perfect way. So, Andy, I know we are trying to keep this as that 30-minute window, 20 to 30-minute window. So we wanted to really just set the stage for this opening podcast. We're going to record on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and hopefully post late Tuesday, Thursday, early Wednesday, Fridays. So we'll make sure that we announce this out all on our various platforms to make sure you guys can find us on this new podcast. But with that, Andy, and then starting on our next podcast, we'll start getting into some of our routines and such, and continue on some of this banter. But what do you think so far? First episode? I mean,
hey, I'm excited to be doing this with you. I think it's a fun sort of introduction for anybody listening as well as for us, so I'm looking forward to it. And I hope folks enjoyed. And again, I hope they feel free to reach out, and, we enjoy the discussion, we enjoy the debate, and Dave, excited to do something else with you, as we've done many interesting things together over the years. So there's thanks for putting this together, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes.
Yeah, and are you going to have a different back? Andy, I think we should probably say too is like if we can, we're going to post this. We're going to try to do this a video podcast too. Like so, we'll try to post this on a channel, maybe out on YouTube or somewhere, so you can find us. We're not going to commit to all the great gee whiz video and editing and all this other stuff. We'll get better over each time we do this and try to do better. But Andy, are you going to have a different backdrop of Detroit Lions every time, or what? What do you think?
I mean, I think it'll depend on the mood. I think it might depend on where we're going with a given episode. So I'll see where we go. But yeah, I think I'll try and keep it entertaining between my brazen good looks, my attire, and my background. I'll try and keep you and America entertained, Dave.
Yeah, that's always important. And I noticed I forgot to call out your Arnold's Pump Club shirt. Very, very impressive.
Brand new, Dave. This just arrived. I was glad to receive it. I'll wear it again so that others can see this glory. But very glad to be a founding member of the Arnold's Pump Club and to receive my free T-shirt. Always love a free T-shirt.
It fits nice and snug. Like you make out your body very, really well. You can tell you work out.
I was flexing for you while I was showing you. So.
All right. No better way to end the first podcast thing, Andy, than on that uncomfortable moment. So for you and me and everyone. So Andy, I don't really have a sign off. I think really appreciate everyone listening. We hope you enjoy it. We will set up a lot of the infrastructure where you can reach out to us. You can always reach out to us on social media. I am on X at DPounder. Andy, you are also on X at Andy Jabour. That's Jabbor, Jabour. I spelled that right, Andy?
Good job. 30 years. Good job.
Okay, there we go. So at Andy Jabour and at DPounder, and we're both on Threads as well. So please reach out and find us there as well. So with that, Andy, I don't have the great sign off, but
we'll get there.
We'll get there. Till next time.